Faith without action literally is a joke. Because everything that to put faith, there has to be an action. If you want to be able, let's say you are a farmer and you want to have a particular crop, you have to buy the seeds of that crop or have the seeds of that crop. You have to make sure the land has been tilled. You have to look at the weather patterns. Let's say you are relying on rain, or maybe you have a well. So you have to make sure you've prepared the ground. You have to make sure you've planted the seeds, and it has to be watered. It's not rocket science. There has to be an action, and your faith is in the fact that you've done all that the crop will be able to grow and you'll have a harvest. There are no guarantees. You can have all the perfect conditions and nothing comes forth from it. You can have you've done everything right. You've put you've put everything that's needed for that crop to mature for your harvest, and it might not bear fruit. However, the fact that you planted a seed, the fact that you tilled the land, planted the seed, and watered it, that's enough faith to know that whatever you're doing, you are believing and hoping that eventually out of it shall come a bumper harvest. However, we have a different inclination to those now who believe magically or for some interesting deluded reason that they'll just put the crop, there'll be no watering, there'll be nothing, and they'll not even till the land, they'll just throw it into just a ground and expect it to, wow, out of the blues, grow. No, there has to be put work. So for the person who has put in the work and believing that it may be able that the conditions will favor their action for them to be able to have a harvest, they have put in the work. So whether or not it goes their ways or they get a few harvests over what they had ideally planned, they have put in the work, they have put in the sweat. So their faith has an action. Let's say someone who's evangelizing to a place where people are hungry, and these people need food, or in that environment they need water, but there's nothing underlying you are doing in terms of providing for them water in that area, then all what you are doing is just a joke. Because if they're hungry and then you leave, so what has he done? You're no different from a politician. But if you are showing an interest, let's say there's something like a project you're actually doing, yes, it does not mean that you've lured them, but they are seeing that you're telling them faith, that there's faith, that you believe in something and there's an action to it. They're seeing you work with them. Maybe you are saying community-wise, let's go and build up a well. Or maybe you've bought the people who can be able to build up that well. Or, or maybe it's a dam, something. There has to be something for something. Then people will listen to you and be like, yeah, I listen to. Because if you don't do that, how different are you from a politician who promises the earth, the moon, the stars, yet they themselves, everything they have is on hire. Even their own clothes is on hire. The security team is on hire. The cars they drive are on hire. Everything they have is on hire. They're just giving you the perfect life for their hire. Think about it even from the political side of view. You want to oust a particular person and say you don't want them in the next election or anything like that. If you don't go and vote and even start from those within, from the primaries, the people who are within, whether it's your county or there's a state, whichever it may be, you're doing zero work when you go start and complain and carry placards if you're not doing the work to actually remove the people from ensuring that you are voting wisely. And there's enough knowledge, civic education, so that people pretty much have an understanding of what they are. And there's a track record for whoever you're putting in power, because these are the facts. If the person you're putting in power has a track record of crime, has a track record of corruption, has a track record of impunity, has a track record of nepotism, why should you be surprised when they take power and they're doing the exact same thing that they literally showed you they will do if they're given the power? Doesn't take rocket science, does it? Let's say you want to drive. So you've had a dream, and in your dream you've seen yourself driving. Or someone said, man, I see you can be able to have a car. There you are, the dream, the car, everything. But you're not doing research on how much does it cost to go and apply for a driving license. Second, you have not done the research about cars. How do you anticipate to drive? You think you'll just be given a car. Fine, so you're given a car and you don't have a license. The cop will arrest you and they have legal jurisdiction as to why they are arresting you. You have no license to be on the road. You can't just dream of the car and just see the car. You have to be able to have the license to drive that car. There has to be put the work. Fine, you want to have a child. You have to have an understanding of those who have kids, understand their experiences. People will always say, oh, kids are just a blessing. They are. But there's work. There's a time that child will unplug. They'll take that passport and write on their crayon. I mean, there's a time they'll unplug their gas. They remove things that in their learning phase, they're going to do a lot of destruction. That is the work the parents are not showing you. Yeah, they're showing you. You're coming to see when everything is okay. But there's the chaos where the parents sometimes they sit and they shout. There is no parent who has a child who does not find themselves shouting and looking like a lunatic because the child is doing that. And sometimes kids just love. It's like they'll just love to gaslight their folks, and they're there and they'll do the wrong things just to smile and see their parents run all over the place. And then all of a sudden they realize, okay, this is way too far. And then they themselves decide to change. And sometimes that child would be the most calm, composed. If you, even yourself, you are thinking, maybe I'm the bad person in all this. This child has no, one time the child will wake up, they'll do the right thing. And you're talking about a toddler, we're talking 2 years and below. Or even 3, 5, 10, let's say 5 years and below. And all of a sudden they're doing the right thing. They're calling you good names in one day. But the next day, chaos everywhere. The fridge has been opened. The eggs have been thrown down. The groceries, their phone is in water. Your laptop is... And they're thinking, is this a child? Or is there another definition? But now, for the one who wants to have a child, are you prepared for that? Are you prepared that once that child comes, the word comfort and you don't meet anywhere? Because now that child runs the game. And you have to find a way to meet at a point whereby you'll all sit together and be like, there are the times for the diapers. You think your diapers right now, they are cheap. They're expensive. You have to debate, am I buying from a supermarket or from a wholesale? Wholesale is cheaper. The supermarket is quite expensive. So you have to do all the math. You have to learn. You have to understand. So by the time you are coming into all this, you're like, And then the next phase, are you married or single? So if you're married, well and good, that's your partner. If you're single, then you're preparing yourself either to be, you have to prepare yourself mentally, either going to be a single mom or a single dad, and that's coming. Because if you're saying, I want a kid, you're a man, you want a kid from this lady, and you're not, you're legally married, you're having your moment, the cold season, you're having your baby fever, you get that lady pregnant, you should be prepared to be a dad, not a deadbeat, a real dad in that child's life. So all that money you had to do all those parties and everything, forget about. The kid wants milk, the child wants all the ingredients and they come heavy with expenses. Same for the lady. You think now you're going to party hard, do whatever you think. Yeah. The child comes, the child says, it's my time and my time alone. And they'll cry at crazy times. And sometimes they just like the fun of it. They clench their little hands on you and they're like, dare you move that hand? And you'll hear the scream of a lifetime. And then you have people outside who are saying, you don't know how to take care of a kid. And then now the people who have been parents, sometimes they just want to poke you and they'll be like, you don't know how to hold that. They know you're doing it right, but sometimes either they're jealous about it or sometimes people are just being malicious and they're like, no, you don't understand. You have to be prepared. Faith has to come with this preparation. Everything has to come with this preparation. Yes, you believe in something. Yes, you trust in something. But you have to be prepared for what comes of it. It might go well, it might go wrong, it may go sideways. The thing is something, and it does not mean you have a backup plan. With God, there's not really a backup plan. We never really have the backup plan. But the fact you have to have the knowledge of. You can't go to war with another person if you don't understand what type of military accessories they have on the other end. You could be going to fight someone with the latest guns and drones and everything, and you're going to fight with them with what? With just a panga or a slasher or a machete. And they can be able to sense your heat wave and everything. You always have to be prepared. Faith without action is dead. So let's not be delusional and crazy people out here. Because at the end of the day, when you think about it, honestly, the work has to be there. Work has to be done. There has to be preparation. You want to go for that trip, you have to prepare for that trip, whichever country that is your area of destination. You have to research on that country. What's the behavior? Okay, how are tourists perceived in that country? What are the the rules of that country? What are the things that that country don't like? Maybe they like when you reach in that country, maybe you can just speak a language that is close to them. You may not have the whole understand, but just saying the hi in their language could give you an edge. Maybe it's a country whereby you should be careful with things like pickpockets, where you should be careful because, it has a high level of trafficking of humankind. It could be a place where is very peaceful, where someone can leave their gadgets somewhere and nobody will see. You need to have all those nitty-gritties. Then prepare. Now, you might not have the budget, but you have the knowledge of where you're going. So it's going to cost you X amount of money. But with you are short in hand. So you pray, you prepare, and now you continue the things waiting and seeing. And when the time comes, you'll have everything needed. You want to go to another country, whether it's work, whether it's traveling, whether it's business, you need a passport. You need to understand the types of visas. You need to understand which visas works where, which visa doesn't work where. You need to understand the strength of your passport. You need to understand the place that you're going to reside. You don't want to go and reside in someone's house for a month. Maybe day one, they'll be okay with you. Day two, they'll be like, day three, they'll be like, okay, how long is too long again? Just because someone tell you welcome home does not really mean welcome home. They mean welcome home day one, day two, be out. Or do something in that house for them to see. You can't say you can't go to someone's house and then day one, fine. Let's say day one, you carry the utensils and take them to the kitchen, fine. Day two, you say maybe the house knows for the house day three. If you're not doing anything in that house, no, people will start thinking, okay, you are more of a liability. And then you also have to be very careful. There are people very sensitive with people coming to their home and trying to add some value into it. Some people just like their things some particular type of way. And let's say one of the partners can think, and even if you're related, can start thinking you are too strong for that home, your ideologies and everything. I know you're a threat. And if you're a threat in a foreign land, in someone's home, they can just make up any story and you'll be locked up. And by the time the truth comes out, man, you've gone through fire. So you want to travel, you need your passport. You need to understand the visas. You need to have the knowledge of where you're going. And then once you have all that, you don't have the money, but you have the plan and the preparation of it. You keep doing your thing. When the opportunity avails itself, and if the applications are supposed to make, you've made them. So when the time avails itself, it will come. You want to work for a particular company, you must have a resume. That resume has to be able to be well crafted, well presented, well thought out. You just can't go and put things all over the place. The name is here, the email is another place, the phone number is in this place, the referee is your best friend who are clueless. As in there you have nothing. And then you're saying, by faith I'm going to... You have to put in the work. And then the dressing that you'll go, you'll have. You have to understand the culture of this company you want to go to. You may not have the 100%, but at least have 2% of the information. Understand the history of that company. And then sometimes if you get to, let's say it's on a Friday and you get a call and you're told on Monday or on Tuesday is when the interview is. So let's say you'll be told on Tuesday and so on, you receive the call on Friday. So on Monday, between Saturday and Monday, yourself, you go and scout out the area. Have an understanding of where you're going. Just have a clue of where you're going. You need to be sure that this is an actual interview and an actual company, and it's not a place you're going to be trapped with people claiming to be the recruiters, having everything up to the email, only to realize you are dealing with traffickers of human beings, figure that one because of algorithm and censorship. Now, moving forward, You have to have the knowledge of the area. You have to talk to the security guard there. Ask very interesting questions, have an understanding so that you can know where are you going. And then the day of the interview, you have to arrive early, 1 to 2 hours early. Why? First, you have to be relaxed. You have to be chilled out. You don't want to be the kind of person who gets into an interview as if they have been rained on with water. No, you have to be relaxed, calm, composed. When you're sitting in that, what's it called? And that seat, and everybody's coming in, others are coming in, and everyone is talking. You have to be calm. Listen to the type of conversation. You have to listen to when the secretary, let's say there's a PA over there and they're talking to, there's an internal staff moving around. You have to listen to their culture. You have to be very keen. You can be pretending to be perusing through your phone or listening to music, but there's no music and there's nothing on your phone. Just a screen you're playing around as you're listening to what's going, so that you can have an understanding of their culture. Some CEOs and some founders and some recruiters are so smart. They'll sit among you. And even they'll come up with some stories of, like try to diminish, just to try and see the character of someone. Or sometimes you're just on CCTV and they're watching you. And they're watching, and one of the internal staff is told to act like part of you and to start coming up with funny stories so that they can understand what type of a character. Are you the type when you hear gossip, you're there? Are you the type of person who just looks and minds their own business? So that by the time you get into that interview, they're like, okay, this one is stood out from the rest. You have to plan. So it's not, and if you don't pass the interview, you know what, you got an experience. Whether they'll send you a reject email or whether you receive a message, whichever it is, you've done it. Now move. If you are fit for it, sometimes you can be the one almost rejected. And then they realize the pool of people they had were worse. So they're like, crap, man, let's call this person for a second interview. And maybe they send you a reject email. And they're like, we need to do a second interview. You're thinking, but you send me a rejected email. Only for you to do an interview. And you're thinking, maybe now you need to prepare more and everything. But they already decided this, but they'll just play along. So we want to refer to something ABCD said from the other interview. You're thinking, But they already chose you. And the next thing you got. So you want to put faith. Faith without action is dead. And those are the facts. You can jump up, you can jump down. Even when Abraham was going to war to go to save his nephew Lot, we are not told that he prayed much. He went. How would you go to fight more than 4 kings? How would you go to fight all those kings? And a king, you can imagine the amount of people who are on the military side of these kings. How was he able to fight? He already had 318 already prepped. So when he was going to fight for his nephew, he alone, when he was wherever he was living, in the area that he was living, he already, all these servants, he had prepped them as a military. Why? Because they could get raids. Because they were nomadic, it's easy for them to be raided. So you have to prepare yourself security-wise. So it's the same people that he could use. That's why he didn't struggle to just pick them and go to fight and prepare and win. Everything has a preparation. Our Lord Jesus Christ didn't just wait for him for that time will come. There had to be trees on earth. There had to be everything for him to be crucified on that cross. There had to be the people, the history, the background, everything. Everything that you do, everything that you desire, you have to prepare for it. Or else you just be another deluded person. With all the information you have in the world, it's very important to be able to prep. If you want to know something, if you want to, let's say you have an interest in a particular career, you have an interest in a particular industry. Thank God we have all the internet and all this, many different people in those spaces share the experience and the expertise in that industry. Go in, learn. If there are seminars, be there. If there are conferences, be there. So that you can have an understanding. You can go to some of these seminars and conferences and dress to the event and talk, and people will be like, where do you represent? You'll be like, you don't have to fake it to make it, but you can present yourself in a way that they'll be like, wait, this guy doesn't even have a job, but they made the effort to come. I like this one. You never know who you'll brush shoulders with. It may be that time you're taking that cup of coffee. prep yourself, be in the place. For you to be in that place, you have to prepare. In the dating pool, there are all these, everyone is all over the place, whether it's in the dating app, whether it's in an event. What makes you stand out for someone to be able to pick you? What makes you stand up? Now, in a time whereby we have the war between the male and female, and then you have the other team that is so deluded, where you want someone with money, but you're too lazy to even move your feet. You just want to eat from a tree that's already producing fruit, but you don't want to till the land. You know, we have those characters as usual, but you also have good people. So how do you get the good people? It's how do you present yourself as a person? You want someone to be able to be impressed, to be able to make an impression. How are you dressed? What kind of conversations do you have? You can be dressed well, but your conversation is pathetic. But you can be dressed well and everything well and present yourself well, and the right pool of people will come in the right way. But you have to be in the market. If you want to buy a product or you want to sell any product or any service, you have to be in the market. And this time and age, you also have to be in the digital space. No one will know you unless they see you somewhere. And right now, people don't want to waste time because life is expensive. So time is very precious. So why would I come to a physical? Can I just see what you have online so that I can choose? And then how do you present it? You say you are good in something. Let's hear you. Let's say it's within evangelism. You're a good preacher. Let's see some of the content that has been released digitally. Then we'll decide if physically someone wants to step into your place of ministry or whatever industry or field you're in. You have to be out there. The digital space is another market. And there's this thing people always keep saying, that we should shut down social media, shut down the internet. There's too much. But the question is, what are you watching? Because every algorithm is capped to what you feed. So if you feed yourself things that are toxic, why should you be surprised you're getting toxic material? Because in this social media, in the internet, there's good content and there's bad content. The question is, where are you doing your research? Because what you do is fed into your algorithm. So if you know you click something that wasn't supposed to be, don't be surprised if you get a floodgate of the similar things. So at the end of the day, the internet is there to stay. You have to step up or step out. It won't change because of you. It's like looking at it this way. If you go to your phone and you change the font on your phone, right? You change you have all these amazing features and themes on your phone. So you change your font on your phone. If you have to send a message on the person on the other end, on the receiving end, will they receive the message with your font, with their type of style of font? No. They will receive the message and the font and the size step that they had in their settings is what they will receive it looking like. So if you had put calligraphy on your end, they won't receive calligraphy on their end unless calligraphy is the kind of format they had put on their end. You understand? But the message will pass. How the message will pass to the other end is based on the recipient end on what they have on their format. So if your format is different, doesn't mean your format will be the same with the other person. Your formats could be very different, but the message has passed. Faith without action is dead. You can't expect what you don't till for. You can't expect a miracle if there's nothing to show forth. Elijah did not just wait for God for fire to come from heaven. He prepared the place. He prepared the altar. He put everything. Then fire was able to come down. You can't expect any success or any change if you yourself are not doing anything to make that change. You can't expect to heal when you love to be in toxicness. You have to cut your ties with toxicness and want to change. Then healing will begin. You have to acknowledge that there is a problem, there is a source of problem. You have to get to the source of the problem, and step by step you start your healing process. But if you are comfortable in toxicness and you say, I'm not going to leave this one, there are no men, there are fewer men or women out there, I'll stick to these toxic persons, then stop complaining when things are going sideways. You already chose your poison, drink it. But if you choose to look things differently and say, I need change, then you have to walk away from whatever toxic, and it has to start with you. Are you toxic as a person? So identify yourself, identify your environment, identify the source of these things. then you start making change. It's not rocket science. Faith without work is dead. You have to put in the work for there to be something to be done. You have to put in the work. So at the end of the day, no matter what you do, no matter what you say, faith without action is dead. You have to put in the work. It's not rocket science. Someone has to till the land for there to be a harvest. It's not rocket science. So as long as you don't put in the work, stop complaining with the results that you get. Faith without action is dead. Put in the work. Then you'll be able to enjoy the results. However it comes, as long as you put in the work, you're good to go. But as long as you're just blabbering because you have a mouth, then maybe your brain and your mouth, maybe you should put it aside for other businesses. At the end of the day, those are the facts at hand. You can whine, you can complain, you can roll over. Facts are facts, and you can't change it. Open your eyes. May God help us all.